Hi guys. So remember that conversation I had last year, sometime last year, where I said that I wanted to get a big TV, but I couldn't afford the TV that was in my mind at the time. Well, guess what? I finally got a TV that was in my mind, and that's what you can see right, behind me. So what you're seeing right behind me is an Hisense 75-inch QLED TV. Q of course stands for Q quantum dot, which means that the picture quality is a bit more better than your regular UHD or just your HD. Now this TV is part of Hisense Q series. And because mine is a Q6, there are other Q versions out there and they come in different sizes, but I happen to have the 75 inches here with me. In this video, we are going to talk about this TV in different categories. So we're going to talk about the TV in terms of its design, we'll talk about the TV in terms of its picture quality, we'll talk about the TV in terms of its sound quality as well, and we'll talk about the TV in terms of its ports, and in terms of the features that it has inside of it. So these are like 5 different categories that we'll talk about when we're speaking about this TV. So let's talk about the design of this TV. Now this TV, yes, you can see is very, very tiny. And when I mean tiny, I'm talking about the bezels, not the back. There's a bit of space in the back that's almost like this. And I think part of it is because of the fact that the mount also is bulging out, but it's slim at the front level, and the back there's a bit of coverage at the back, but you can almost not see any bezel, almost not see any frame. This black tiny thing you're seeing right here is part of the screen, as opposed to some TV that you would see a plastic on top of the screen. In this particular case, what they've done is they've put the screen on top of the TV. Now the only place where you would see plastic on top of the screen is the bottom side, which you have a bit of more bezel, bigger bezel, as opposed to the side of the TV. And this got across this side, the top, and the other side. The only side, again, like I said, where you get a bigger bezel is the bottom of the TV, and where you also have the Hisense name. And I'm guessing that's because of the brand name. That's why they make this a bit bigger. Let's talk about the ports that we have in this TV. Now, this TV comes with 3 HDMI ports, 2 of which are HDMI ARC. It comes with 2 USB-A ports. None of them is actually USB 3.0, they're USB 2.0. And I guess that's fine because all you're doing is just pretty much playing content from USB flash, yeah? You're not going to transfer files, stuff like that. This TV also comes with 2 auxiliary cable ports with like a 3.5mm jack, and then it also comes with an AV port, which again is fine if you want to connect antennas to it, like your StarTimes, your GSTV, your GoTV as well. Now all of these ports that I've mentioned are on the right side of the TV. On the left side on the TV is where you now have the power port, which is where you can be able to plug this TV in to your power socket to be able to power this TV. Mind you, I think at this point I should mention that this TV is about 240 watts of power consumption, so you want to be aware of that if you're going to buy this TV. So let's talk about the picture quality of this TV. This TV is a QLED TV, and which means that you get brighter colors and your colors are a lot more poppy. Now, as opposed to OLED where you get sharper colors and darker black, this is not like that. This uses a LCD panel. There are different kind of panels for TV and for screens. Yeah, this uses the LCD panel, so pretty much there's still backlighting. You can see a bit of white light shining from the back of the panel that kind of makes it all the colors come, to you and make you see what you're seeing. Pretty much, as opposed to an OLED where every pixel has its own color, and every time you go on dark space, all of those big pixels are turned off. Not the backlight trying to imitate what black means. So what that means is that your blacks would not be blacks. They would look a bit more like dark gray as opposed to like black. And you can tell that when you're watching movies at night or during the daytime, you can see the difference between the tiny line bezel that's the black and then the black side of the TV that is supposed to be very, very dark. Now, I need you to understand that because it's an OLED, a QLED, that's why it's like that, but it doesn't mean that the quality is bad. It has good quality, as a matter of fact. Your picture quality is very crispy. Now, another thing I want to say is that this TV has a way of bouncing off light, so it's not super reflective, so you can see some light reflection on it, but it's not as bad as you would think. And it has amazing viewing angle, so I can look at this TV from the front side, like sitting right in front of it, or I can be beside the TV and still get the same amount of picture quality that you would get as you're looking at the TV heads on. Let's talk functions. So there are quite a number of functions on this TV, and I won't be able to go through all of them, but I will try my best to go through a few of them that I think is more important. So one of them is the fact that you have multiple channels on this TV. So you have streaming platforms, you have your Netflix, you have your Prime Video, you have your YouTube, as you can see, you have them on here. And then you have the sport channel as well. You have FIFA Plus, you have a lot of channels that you are able to watch for free, And because the TV also supports Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision, you're also able to enjoy those features as well. But mind you, you need to be able to For you to be able to actually have access to this function, you have to be watching content that also support that function. So for instance, some movies on Netflix support Dolby Atmos, and so you'll be able to get the Dolby Atmos sound profile. Some does not, so you're gonna have to use the default sound profile that comes with the TV. It also supports Dolby Vision as well. So if you have movies or you're watching a series that support Dolby Vision, you are able to also watch that movie using that function, and then it supports HDR as well. So if you're watching some YouTube videos that are HDR compatible, once you go to the function button, you will see that it then now shows you the HDR options as opposed to content that doesn't support that. If the content doesn't support HDR, chances that you would not see the option come up. But if it does support HDR, then chances that you will see the option come up. Now, what are these pretty much? It just pretty much means different color profile for your TV, and you can use whichever one suits you best. Sometimes I find that the Dolby Atmos or Dolby Vision may not be the best for me, so I just use the default setting. But again, it depends on your preference and what you want to use. Another thing I like to say about this TV is that it has voice control assist, so you can pretty much use the voice control to control the TV if you want. There is a button underneath the TV where you can just control that press it to wire to be handless. So you can use the remote, which I'll show you a bit in a minute. It has a mic. You can use that. Hold on the mic button and see what you want to say, or you can turn on the hands-free mode, which means that you don't have to hold the remote to give it a command. So you can say things like open YouTube, close YouTube, off TV and stuff like that, and it would respond to you almost instantly. So there are a few other functions here as well, where you can change your sound profile if you want. So if you come to the bottom, you can see the sound mode. I can change it from standard to theater to music to speech, the late night, and even your output as well. Audio output, I mean to say where you want your audio to be coming out from. Currently, I'm using this TV with a soundbar that came with the TV, and that's a video for some other day. You can also do karaoke mode. So if you're trying to do karaoke, say you're having a family time out, or you're having like evening time with the family and you guys want to do karaoke, you can choose the karaoke mode, plug in a USB mic behind the TV, and then you can use that to sing your song, and the TV obviously would be able to output that audio for you. And you have a self-sleep timer, you have Bluetooth mode. Yeah, Bluetooth mode, let's talk about that. So apparently you can connect this TV to a speaker via Bluetooth. As a matter of fact, when I bought this TV, it came with a soundbar for free, which is nice actually. It came with a soundbar for free, that also came with a soundwoofer. And like I said, this is something I'll talk about in another video. But apparently you can connect this TV to this soundbar using Bluetooth. Now, of course, because it's Bluetooth, you have a tiny bit of latency, but it's noticeable in some cases, and in some cases it's not noticeable. So I would still advise to connect this thing using an HDMI cable that it comes with. This TV does not support optical cable, but so you cannot use optical cable to connect your soundbar to the TV, but you can use HDMI, and you can also use the auxiliary cable if you want. So let's do a quick sound test of what this TV sounds like when you're using it. Mind you, I'm gonna start this at 50%, so you can hear what it sounds like at 50%, and maybe try and go to 100%. Okay, so that's the sound test at 62%. I don't think I want to get to 100%. That was actually very loud. And not just loud, that was also very, very clear as well. So yeah, there it goes. So I think at this point, we should now talk about the TV remote. Now the TV remote is a very simple, slim profile remote. And I like the fact that it comes in this way. I'm using a AAA battery, so two AAA batteries. And it's very functional, so it has your search button here, so you can pretty much press this search button and you can start to search what you want to look for. It has shortcuts to things like YouTube, Prime Video, and you even have things like your Netflix as well, and VOD, and it has TV channels. Now TV channels is where you go again and search for other channels that came with the TV, so Red Bull TV and the rest of those kind of channels, yeah. And then it has your mic button to be able to put that on and search voice control, I'm going to say, to talk about what you want to do. And there's a volume button, and there's obviously your next button as well. And at the bottom of it, you have your home button, you have your exit, you have your channel up and channel down, you have your mute button, you have your volume button up and down, and then you also have things like info, guide, and 1, 2, 3. It's a pretty much simple remote. There is your off and on button here, and there is also your source button. This is how you switch from HDMI to AV and whatever source you want to switch from. And at the tiny top, there's a tiny dot there where you can see there is a mic they turn it up. That is how you can speak into this remote, so you're able to use your voice control, while using the TV. So there's one thing about this TV that I didn't mention earlier, and it's the fact that it has game mode. And this is where the TV pretty much changes its entire setting to fit or accommodate whatever game you're playing. Now, for people who are gamers, the bummer is that the refresh rate on this TV is just 60 Hz, so you're not gonna get 120 or 240 Hz refresh rate, but it's just 60 Hz, so you kind of have to work with that. It's not a problem for me because I didn't buy this primarily for gaming, just for entertainment. And it doesn't mean you cannot game on it though. You can game on it quite alright, but for people who like no more refresh rate, you're not gonna get that. You're gonna get just 60 Hz. But let's look at what it looks like when you're playing games, because the entire system kind of changes once you're on that platform. So one thing I noticed while using this to play games is that if you go over to your option or your menu button here, you see that the entire thing changes as opposed to what you normally have, or you see your other stuff here, and you start have things like your game picture mode, your ratio, your aim point is one thing I really like, and even your map zooms, another beautiful feature I think that is what taking a look at. So for those of us that like playing games like Call of Duty or Battlefield, now this helps a lot, because what your aim point does for you is you don't have to start looking for where to point your gun at, pretty much. So you can just pretty much use that because it's bigger than what the game gives to you. It makes it a lot easier for you to be able to play your video games with. And I realized that the FPS changes from time to time. So if I'm playing games like Formula 1, the FPS usually changes from 60 FPS to around 120 FPS. When I'm playing games like Battlefield 2 Red Tech, it goes to around 60 and 59. And other games are where it varies from games to games. So it's something I think that you should pay attention to if you're going to buy this TV. So let's talk about what this TV is for. And I think this TV is for anybody who wants to get a good TV out there, who wants to get a 75-inch QLED TV on a budget. And in regard to budget, how much was this TV? This TV was around 1.2 million naira from the Fulani store, somewhere here in Sulere. And it did come again with a soundbar. Like I said, it came with a soundbar that I will talk about in another video. But this is what this TV sounds like, this is what it looks like. And let me know what you think in the comment section. Do you think it's worth to buy? Do you think it's too expensive? Or do you think that you can get TV for a better deal, or a better TV with a lesser price? Yeah. Okay, so let me know what you think in the comment section, and see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.